Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and we have our first episode of Moon Knight. Well, the mega anticipated Moon Knight series has finally dropped on Disney+, and we got our very first episode, The Goldfish Problem, last night, so I thought we could do a quick review, talk about what happened, and what supernatural goodness we are getting from the series. Clearly, it's something new from Marvel Studios and Disney, and honestly, I like this first episode. Now, before we dive in though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, our big giveaway. We're going to give away this Oculus Quest 2 at 50,000 subscribers. All you need to do to get in on our giveaway is be a subscriber and leave us a comment. Also, while you're at it, make sure you check out that free week of Skillshare down below. It's a great way for you to develop your superhero skills for that never-ending war on crime, all while not diving too deep into your pockets. Plus, it really does help the channel, so we really appreciate it. Welcome to our review of the first episode of Moon Knight from Marvel Studios and Disney+. Now, obviously, we're going to cover some spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it yet, go watch the episode and come back. Nobody wants to spoil it for you. Now, Oscar Issacs has finally joined the MCU as the mystical servant of Konshu, Moon Knight, and we've got a new Re-Envisioned Villain from Ethan Hawke in the form of Arthur Harrow. The first episode kicks off a winding road of weirdness, and it really carries that feeling all the way to the end. Now, overall, the show was a good bit of fun. Spooky in some places, and clearly Marvel is taking some new paths with this project. The spiritual overtones are heavy, and the villain, Arthur Harrow, channels it really well. The show is clearly setting up a supernatural showdown from the first minutes, as well as highlighting the mental breakdowns of both hero and villain. The action in the opener is rock solid, even though we do get very limited time with the titular hero in costume. So let's break down some of the details from the very first episode. Now, the episode is entitled The Goldfish Problem, and a large part of this opener is exploring the life of Stephen Grant. He is a seriously mild-mannered gift store clerk and student of Egyptology. As we see in the trailer, Stephen has issues. We find out very quickly his sleep issues are deep, and he has made efforts to combat them in almost every way possible. But it's very obvious all is not what it seems. Once we get to know his regular day-to-day, we drop into somewhat of a dream world. Along the way, we do get multiple clues his dissociative disorder is impacting his life in ways that seem mild at first, but quickly turn into very impactful events. As many people know, he has multiple personality disorder, and this drives his segues in the story in a really crazy and unique way, having us pop in and out of reality with the voice of Konshu to narrate the change with some fun and laughs. We quickly find out there's a lot going on with Stephen Grant, finding himself in the Alps, running for his life from Harrow's cult, and nearly being killed multiple times only to awaken in his own bed. The whole chase is about a scarab, which he has no clues or understanding of its purpose. The whole experience eventually pursues him out of the so-called dream world into the real world, eventually closing in on him at the museum and leading us to our first encounter with Marc Spector. But let's talk a little bit about Arthur Harrow. Harrow is a complete revisioning from the comics version, so don't look to the 616 to understand him. Based on this episode, he clearly has some connections with the Egyptian gods themselves, and he and his cult are relentlessly steadfast in their pursuit of Marc Spector, aka Stephen Grant, and the Scarab. Now, Harrow clearly has a connection to another god of Egypt, Ammit, and his tattooed scales appear to judge someone's character, both past and future, and this has deadly consequences, making the judgment process fairly interesting. Now, Ethan Hawke clearly nails this cult leader aspect Marvel Studios has designed, and he genuinely sells the devotional aspect of the character very well, especially with that opening scene with him putting broken glass in his shoes. His powers are also pretty interesting beyond his ability to judge, summoning demonic jackal-like beasts to serve his order and pursue Stephen and the Scarab. The presence of Konshu is felt throughout the episode, but it builds as we move through the story. Now, the quote-unquote voice in his head aspect is very Venom-like to me, but the visuals are pretty horrifying and absolutely primordial. He is spooky to say the least, stalking Stephen in his home, on the street, and almost everywhere. Now, his appearance was teased in the trailer, and honestly, that first trailer gave us a lot from this episode, but we don't get much more of that than we've already seen. Although the series does give us a lot of Konshu, just not yet. And then there's Marc Spector. Now, Marc's consciousness is contained mostly throughout the episode, but when he does take over, we basically just flash forward to Stephen's next moments of conscious control. We don't really see him in action, and he doesn't get a lot of time. Now you can totally tell Oscar Issacs is enjoying this aspect of playing the character. Marc is pretty much the polar opposite of Steven in many ways, and it allows the actor to be more than one character in the same show, which must be exciting. It's not really until the climax of the episode when Harrow and his minions, along with his summoned beasties, come to the museum for Steven to finally get the scarab. This is when Steven finally gives up control and we meet the Knight of Konshu. Although we don't get a lot of actual Moon Knight in the opener, it does open with a bang, and honestly, the more I see of this, the more I like it. The costume does look quite good as we saw in the trailers, the eyes are piercing, and honestly, seeing the monsters actually try to run away from him was a bit humorous. I really did enjoy this first episode, although I have seen the first 4, we're only talking about number 1 right now. I'm going to give this opener an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's fun, and a pretty thrilling opener that sets up a ton of new ground in the Marvel Universe without retreading anything that was already established in the MCU. Its comparison to the early MCU, where it didn't have to follow a lot of pre-established rules, is spot on, and it does free up quite a bit of the storytelling. Pay attention to all the little Easter eggs and stuff in the gift shop. That's all I'm going to say. It will become important later on. So, what did you guys think? Did you like the first episode of Moon Knight? And how did you feel about the presentation of Marc's multiple personality disorder on screen? I actually thought that was one of the best done parts. Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you're not getting any updates. Peace.